People in stock photos. What's the weirdest way you've seen your photos being used? I let a photographer friend take a stock photo of me. I look sad in it, and it ended up on some website about victims of abuse. What kind of abuse? This sounds interesting. It was general, like don't be a victim. I think the website was run by a city in California. In college, a photography student took some pictures of me playing classical guitar. I ended up in a Viagra ad. I was 19. College must have been rough. Yeah, my penis still has scars. You are probably joking, but I knew a guy who had a hard lesson when he was in college about how rings should be removed before a hand job. The ones in his penis, or the ones on her fingers? She wanted to count them to ensure he was of consenting age. I didn't even know I was in a stock photo until my grandma bought a picture frame at Sears with my T-ball team picture in it. They saved her a step. My whole family modeled back in the 80s. Somehow my dad ended up in a brochure for some born-again church that said he was a sinner and adulterer until he found Jesus. Question: where did he find Jesus? Was he behind the dried oregano? Asking for a friend. Edit. Thank you, kind Redditor, for the gold. I didn't realize my sarcastic comment would do this well. I found Jesus behind my couch more times than I can count. Fucking kids are constantly losing shit. In college I had a housemate that had a mini bust of Jesus. I decided it was a good idea to play the game of Where's Jesus? Some of his most memorable spots were on the back of the toilet, in the door of the fridge, and in the microwave. Toilet was the funniest because sometimes they wouldn't feel like moving him and just made him face the wall after finding him. No way. I can't believe I found someone else who does this. My house has had an ongoing game of Find Jesus for the past 3 years, using a little dashboard. Jesus on a spring who's got his hands up playfully like, you got me. I found him in our garage when we moved in. The best is when other people are over, when someone shouts I found Jesus out of nowhere. This takes place many years ago when foreigners were a rare sight in Japan. I'm a big, friendly looking white guy, and I was asked to do some photos of a couple on a date. So I go around to some scenic locals with a beautiful Japanese woman, the photographer, and his assistants. Fun day. Took tons of romantic photos. And that was the end of it. Until a month or two later when my date and I showed up on posters all over the subway as part of an AIDS awareness campaign, because you can catch that from foreigners, you know. Needless to say, my friends and co-workers thought it was hilarious, and amazingly it didn't have any noticeable impact on my dating life. Looking back, my only regret is that I didn't steal one of the posters. Amazingly, it didn't have any noticeable impact on my dating life. I'll be honest, that is pretty amazing and hilarious. We have two options is here. One is that all white people look alike argument, and the second, I think, someone saying, I'm dating the AIDS dude, and being proud of their meat-and-itch fine. Similar thing happened to my trainer a couple years ago. He was running a marathon for an AIDS benefit. One of the things people don't realize is your participation often includes a waiver for all photos taken at the event. His finish line photo becomes the face of overcoming AIDS adversity in a big ad campaign. The problem is he trains a bunch of boxing and MMA guys. You cannot participate in those sports if you have AIDS and other blood transmitted diseases. So it created a big issue for him with some of his pro clients. Did it get resolved? I'm just imagining him showing a pro MMA fighter his HIV test results like, look. It says here that I'm AIDS free. The university took a bunch of professional photos of me and some friends for their billboards and campaigns. I was pretty surprised to open a handbook and find out I was the face of their fine arts program. Especially pottery. I was a neuroscience major. The same thing happened to me at my college, except it was just a general brochure about the campus. Grandma put it on the fridge. She was so proud of my short stint as a model. This happened to my mom. She was put on her school's master degree brochure. She went back to school for it when I was about 13, and she had a short hair phase because it was easy maintenance. There is a picture of her with bags under eyes, with short boy hair on a brochure somewhere. Sort of funny. Single mom of 10, 9, and 7-year-old kiddos. Their dad died last year. in a full-time PhD program and working full-time. I don't remember what sleeping more than 3 hours a night feels like, but hopefully it'll be worth it. You're a hero, and while they might not understand right now, when they are in college, or in a trade school or something to that effect, they're going to look back on right now and see you as a role model. I'm in the header of my university's grad school application. Whenever someone posts a screenshot of their acceptance email, Facebook facial recognition asks if I want to tag myself. Do you tag yourself? I got accepted to UT's nursing program. Again. I ended up finding myself on one of those now hiring posts on Facebook for a company I was trying to get hired at. He's literally the guy in the picture. Imagine going in for interviews and seeing this guy walk in ahead of you and then looking at the wall and seeing his damn face on the hiring poster. So did you get the job lol? Why should we hire you? You already did. Look. Well shit. Really they owe you back pay. Not me, but my younger brother had his picture taken when he was about 9 or 10 for the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. My brother was a really cute red-headed kid with freckles, and they asked my mom if they could use his photo for their promotional materials. A few months later, we get a brochure in the mail with my brother's face on it talking about the Big Brothers program. It was really funny, because they had changed his name to Timmy, and in little kid handwriting written things like, "I really need a big brother, and have you found me a big brother yet?" And then ended it with "Love, Timmy." My siblings and I laughed a lot over it, and called my brother Timmy for weeks. My husband and I did stock photos when I was pregnant with our first. I ended up seeing myself later on the side of a bus, as well as in a pamphlet for young moms. Flattering. At my doctor's office. The more interesting part, though, is that my husband took part in another family shoot, various poses cooking in the kitchen etc. Years later I was looking up a colleague on Facebook, and her cover photo was her and my husband chopping vegetables in a stock photo. More context on colleague, she was apparently at the shoot too. I was in a different room doing prenatal yoga poses with another girl while my husband did the family photo shoot. The colleague was the mom, husband was dad, and a teen girl was daughter, which I gloated over. Of course he was cast as having a teen kid while I got teen mom dart. At the time I had not yet worked with this person. Years later I became acquainted with her through work, but only peripherally. I happened to look her up on LinkedIn Facebook to see what her work background was. That's when I discovered the picture. It was so fucked up. It was several years after the shoot. People had commented on her photo too, like "you look great," and shit. She never explained the nature of the photo, and it is still her cover photo to this day, over 7 years later. I'm in an ad campaign in my home state, in Australia for the government. I'm the face of "Don't buy alcohol for underage people." It's just me looking like a dad who's thinking of buying a drink, obviously for a teenager somewhere. Ironically I don't actually have my own kids. I get emails from people I haven't heard from in years saying, "I saw you on the wall of the bottle shop," which is kinda funny. Bottle shop is now my go-to phrase for the liquor store. I was asked to go to a big opening event party for a park in China. As a foreigner, this kind of thing is pretty common. They want some white faces. Free food and drink. All the other guests had to pay. But in the end they start guilt tripping me. Put on this traditional Chinese costume they say, some kind of kung fu looking robe thing. Let us take some pictures they say. Fine, I let them do it. A few weeks go by, and random people start pointing me out in public. My students are giggling in class. Finally when I'm out and about someone approaches me. "Are you the guy from," and shows me a picture on the phone. My likeness in Chinese traditional wear has been printed on building-sized billboards around the city. I look goofy as fuck. All around the city where I live and work. I had my photo taken in high school, studying with my friend at the time. Almost 5 years later, my brother said I was in the county brochure for library services. The picture was most likely chosen cause of the diversity, Asian girl and a black girl. Oh, this reminded me of my college in the UK. They used a photo of 2 non-white students, taken by an in-house photographer on the front page of their international students office brochure. The issue is that both students in that photo were British, born and raised. They were not happy.